think immediately after a person dies, they either go to heaven or they go to hell. And I believe that it doesn't matter what you've done in life, or how good you've been or how bad. That isn't what determines if you go to heaven or if you go to hell. I believe that if you believe in God and you believe in Jesus, because Jesus was sent, to die for us, He forgives us all our sins. If you believe in that, then you'll go to heaven.
I think when a person dies, their spiritual energy, I suppose, goes back into the world. And it's just, I feel like there's world energy, and every time someone's born, we borrow a little bit, and then we give it back when we die.
Well, my personal opinion would be, it depends on how you acted in your life, because everybody gets judged in the afterlife. If you've led a good life, you'll live eternally and happily in heaven. If you led a bad life, well, let's just say things are not going to be going too well for you when you die.
Okay, so from what I've been taught and from my understanding, when a person dies, their soul is sent to heaven, well, not heaven, but to God, and until their burial, their soul is with God. And also, just to add something in, for most religions or just in general, people are buried in coffins, but actually, Islamically, they're supposed to be buried with a white cloth over their body and then another white sheet. This is in the grave. And so they don't have a coffin, and there's a very specific reason for this. So, okay, so back to what I was saying. Once they die, their soul goes to heaven, and then once they're buried, their soul is put back into their body. No, I'm sorry, I keep on saying heaven. Their soul is sent to God, and their soul is then put back into their body once they have been buried. And until the day of judgment, their soul is still in their body, and they feel the pains of kind of, this sounds bad, but decomposing in a way. They feel the insects and things like that, and they feel the heat and the cold and everything of the weather and things like that. And so in a way, this is a way of God giving you the chance to lose, because we believe that you lose sins from pain. And so this is a way for you to lose these sins before, paying off these sins rather, before the day of judgment. And so, if you're considered to be a good person and you read the Quran, you prayed 5 times a day and things like that, then in a way there will be a shield, and so you don't feel the pains as much, and you actually said that you feel the breezes of heaven during that time, and it's a very restful sleep. And then on the day of judgment, everyone in a way comes back to life in a way, and they receive their judgment from God, and they find out if they're going to heaven or hell. And actually, a lot of people will go to hell, from my understanding, because they have to pay off their debts in a way. And once they have done so, they will go to heaven. But yes.
Yeah, Michael, stop!
I don't know what I believe is true. I believe it, and nothing's really proven me wrong. I believe it's true just because that's what I've grown up with. That's what I've been taught. It's just what I believe. I feel most comfortable with it. So there's no fact saying it's true. There's no fact saying it's false.
There is no right and wrong. And I see a bunch of bumper stickers that say coexist, and I really believe in that. That everyone should join hands and sing Kumbaya or other songs that they want to sing. What I know I believe is true is because I went on retreat, and I've literally felt the presence of God. And it's kind of hard to explain because it's no physical connection, but it's more like something in your soul that you feel. And once you feel something that deep within yourself, it's you can't have any doubts in your life about what you know.
I don't know what I believe is true, but I think that's the basis of being an agnostic. I definitely have less faith than a Christian, and I probably have more faith than an atheist, but I'm not certain.
How do I believe? How do I know that what I believe is true? I'm going back to question number 9, where there's 2 ways, you know. 1, a special revelation. 2, general revelation. General revelation is in nature. You don't believe that stuff could just happen by chance, that it takes billions of years to do that, as it's basically a gambling kind of state. But it does take, I mean, again, I don't like talking about evolution because it does relate to a lot of theory, but as far as that goes, you're going to take designs in nature and set them next to each other. You got the Fibonacci sequence. I mean, does that just happenstance that flowers tend to have circular spirals that happen to be in Fibonacci numbers? I don't think so. I call that God. Other people call that, you know, that's just chance. It just happened to be that way. There's not really an explanation for it that people can give. And a bit about other religions. It's hard to answer about that one, as I'd have to study them. Study them even further than I already have. 2, I mean, if you're studying false objects, I mean, someone who studies counterfeit money would study the real object and not the fake one. You got to study the real one to actually understand what the real thing is. I believe that the Christianity is real, so you study all of them at once. If you don't believe any of them, I mean, it's sort of what you believe. That's part of it. Ultimately, it has to come back to 1, nature. It speaks for itself. 2, the Bible and how that is written. You got to believe that 1, the Bible is everything that God thinks, and it reveals God's character to you and what He's done. It is actually a historical, factual account of what has actually happened. None of it is false. You have to believe that. If you don't believe that, it's just a bunch of words that somebody wrote down. It's a lie that somebody's told you.
I believe that I am right because it's just always there. You always feel it. I feel it. I see it every day. Like, sometimes I would want something, but it's just a desire, and then when we recognize it, it's just the simplest things. So, it's like my religion, I believe in one God. Every religion has something they believe in. So, like Buddha, they sometimes look up at Buddha, but they're actually looking at one figure. So, yeah, it's the same person, just in different names, even though they think it's different. It's really not. So, I don't know why some religions have fights over each other, like holy wars and stuff. I don't know why. But
in terms of knowing what I believe as being true, I don't know if there really is an absolute truth, since if I think truth is a very individual thing, and based upon your personal experiences and your own, intrinsic beliefs, that dictates what truth is for you. But I know what's true is true for me, just because it's gone through the wear and tear of my life, and it still remains true. So you sift through what you're given via religion, and I think whatever kind of makes it through through the wear and tear of your life is kind of what is true for you. So
everybody's right. It's one God, one person. Even when they look up at all, it's really one, because like I said, everybody has God in them, so it's just looking up at one.
Well, in my opinion, when people fight over religion, I think that that's really bad, and I figured God wouldn't want that. And everyone is almost worshiping the same person. So my agnostic beliefs, going back to that, is I believe that there's a God, but he's kind of chill about all of this, because he created everyone, and I mean, he created homosexuals too, so if that's against the church, then why would he make them in the first place? That's why I think he's a little bit more easygoing than the Bible says sometimes.
Well, I really don't care what other people think. I just go with what my parents and grandparents say, and I believe it.
I don't know what I believe is true, and I don't know. I don't know what I believe.
Actually, I don't know what I believe is true. That's why I try and be a very accepting person. I understand that a Muslim believes that his or her religion is the absolute true one. A Presbyterian believes that his or her religion is the true one. A Sikh believes that his or her religion is the absolute true one. So I don't think that mine is true, whatever I believe in. I just think that it's the most fitting for me. I like to think that all religions have the same God or gods. So what I believe in is just another form which works best for me.
I'm not exactly sure how anyone can say, I know exactly that this is true and there's no other way around it. It's more of you have to believe. You have to believe that it is true and that, sorry, I have to.
Yeah, how do you know what you believe is true?
God is just trying to have you believe in Him, and if you don't believe in Him, then it's really hard to believe in other things that you're not completely sure of.
Truth be told, I have no idea what's true and what's not. And I though I have my beliefs, I also believe that nothing is true. But everything is permitted. You're allowed to believe whatever you want, and that's perfectly fine in the eyes of God. He doesn't judge. He doesn't judge what religion you are. And He doesn't even care if you don't believe in Him.
I think sometimes I can feel God's presence in my life. And being able to be with a community of other people who believe, I think that helps affirm your faith as well.
I don't necessarily believe I'm right. I believe spirituality is one of those things that's like whatever helps you get through the day. And it doesn't necessarily have to be fact or truth. It's literally whatever makes you feel better, whatever makes you happier. And if that's God, that's great. If it's not God, that's great. If you believe in Puff the Magic Dragon, as long as it helps you get up in the morning and makes you happier, then that's awesome. So I don't necessarily believe I'm right. I mean, I don't believe in God, but for all I know, there could be God, and that's great. But I mean, I believe in what I believe because it makes me happy, and so yeah.
Well, I just do. I mean, like my other friend said, I mean, I'm not trying to base my opinions on them because I always felt like this was true, but there's some things that you know is true because inside of you, you have felt it, and it's just, when something as big as God comes into your soul, you can't be like doubting it anymore. It's just something that's like imprinted, like a tattoo, like no more. you gotta believe in it because it's just something that you know is true because it's just in your soul. Like when you know you have to go do something because it's just you have to. It's just something that's just how it is, and that's just a simple way to put it. You know, I just believe because I feel it. I can feel that it's right, and that's it. There's nothing else to say.
Well, I don't know what I believe is true or not. I can't guarantee it. I guess if a person was raised to believe in something, they themselves have to believe it. And so, until there's actually, proof that one part religion is real, then I guess from then on, people just believe in their own self-religion.
To me personally, maybe sometimes God isn't there. And that's why people choose to be other stuff. Like Buddhists believe in Buddha. Me just believe in whatever.